This is a review of Survivor, Season 46, Episode 6. Can't believe we've gotten this far already. We're at the merge. We got a full recap ahead, along with questions for Jeff and stock up, stock down, whose stock is up, who's down, and then who's going home next week. We have all that and more, and now I'll bring in my co-host. You're really a co-host at this point, Richie.
I love the sound of that.
Like you're less of a guest, you're more of a co-host. I feel
Yeah.
like if and I'd like to bring other people in, but I feel like it would just be they'd be filling in for you at this point.
We'll get him there eventually.
Yeah, we'll get there. Well, what did you make of episode 6? We got the merge. We'll get into it detail by detail, but overall, how did you feel about the episode?
Yeah, it was a really good episode. I was happy with it for sure. I think it got a little bit of everything that I wanted from like a merge episode. So I think they did a little bit something different at the merge too. We'll get into it, but this year that I thought was kind of fun too. Switch things up a little bit. So
yeah.
I like how it started off kind of going to each tribe and giving them the little kind of back to 10 minutes, grab everything, go to this like boat, whatever.
Yeah.
Felt a little bit old school to me, which is fun.
Yeah, it's always pretty exciting. It was weird to see that it was like day 12 or day 13 and then it was merge because we watch these old seasons all the time and it's day 26. It's almost double. I mean it's like insane.
Yeah.
The difference there that like by the end of this one other tribes were just getting to the merge. Either way, that blows me away. But yeah, they cut to each 3. And I do wonder, and this, could be a question for Jeff, but like they had to have known that it was going to be, was that Siga or that's Nami camp, right? Nami's orange. They knew they were going orange camp because they left that clue for Hunter. Like, hey, once the merge happens, like then this will become available. Maybe I guess if the boat was coming in 10 minutes, he would have had time. But yeah, we get the merge and then we get that moment as well. And yeah, I'm glad they brought it up in the Survivor podcast. But what did you make of the phrase, and when will you use it next? But hey, guys, I'm gonna go vibe, is what Hunter says when he realizes he needs to get to.
That was funny, man.
I need to go vibe. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like perfect for this like new generation. Like, hey, like it's almost like a perfect way to say like, hey, I need like some mental health time for myself.
Yeah,
but without saying mental health.
True.
That's how I took it, at least. Like, that's what he was trying to get across to them.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, nobody, like, had a second doubt about when he said that, what he was going to go do.
Yeah. And, dude,
I think that was perfect for him, so.
That's another example, and I think about it a lot, and they talk about it on their podcast a lot, too, but I'm like, dude, how does the cameraman not give it away? Because I'm always wondering that, like, as people are digging for idols, like, dude, there's at least 2 men, maybe 3, one, like, helping them out with giant cameras, and they're stomping around, too. And how are they able to just like not make things obvious if a survivor is having a huge moment? And maybe that is that they're just intense on them at all times, or the camera will always follow you or something. But yeah, because
I think that's probably one of the things. But,
yeah.
And then you also got to think like 46 seasons down the line, like they've got it down now. Like they know what to do. They know how to do it.
Yeah, for sure. It was pretty wild. He had to dig underneath the steps, which I'm also like, wait, are these man-made steps? Like, who made these steps here? Like, that must be right. Like,
had to have been man-made for sure.
I mean, yeah. Like, so are there other man-made things at this camp? I mean, maybe I'm getting ahead with my questions for Jeff, but a lot of production ones here because there's a lot going on.
I feel like him and Jem got way easier like clues too than Tiffany had on hers.
What was Tiffany's?
She
had to go far.
She just had like a bunch of random letters. Yeah, she had to go far. She had to unscramble like a bunch of like random characters, but she did it super quick. I don't know how she did it because I remember watching it, looking, and I was like, I don't know how she figured out like what these letters meant, or these characters transcribed letter.
Yeah.
But the other 2 just had to kind of like dig in a certain area. Didn't seem as hard, but.
Yeah, no, Jem had to do the like measurement thing. That was like where it's like, get the diameter of your camp, and it's that many, machete lengths away. His was just something, he saw the word step, which, they say that on the podcast a lot. If you're on Survivor, read every word and detail. And they
Yeah.
referenced the season where literally a survivor went, "Oh, why does it say like caution at blah blah?" Like they say it, but then they deliberately ignore it when it's like, dude, if you would have paid attention, you'd have been okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, Hunter ends up scoring an idol when he didn't have a vote because he lost the insane journey of 20 survivors seasons in a row. Um, and yeah, then all the tribes get together and you realize it's so many people. Like that was
Hmm.
my big
It,
take. I'm
it
like,
did seem like a lot for some reason.
it was well, dude. I don't think they ever do it at 13. Or they haven't. Maybe they've done it
I
a
feel like
couple
they have
times.
though.
Because dude, even
Now
at
that they do
tribal, when
the
they're all sitting there, I was like, that's so many people. They not every person got a solo shot. I don't know.
yeah.
It was a lot, and then I don't know. I think what we saw here between the tribes was everyone was kind of sticking to their guns, right? It was like, dude, we don't want to give up a
Hmm.
person, and then it did kind of get to like there was conversation about like, hey, let's trade a Siga for a Namu or a Nami. Like
Hmm.
let's trade one. Who's your one? And then that is kind of how it ends up playing out a little bit later. But I guess
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
what did you make of everyone getting together? And they don't start with a meal anymore. And they're also it doesn't say merge tribes. All it said was drop your buffs.
Yeah.
What do you
I
think?
kind of thought like when they did that, okay, something's about to happen. I didn't know exactly how they were going to do it or what if it was going to be like in the past where they did the one person has the hourglass thing or whatever. Then we get to the challenge. It was kind of nice to see when we got to the challenge that they were going to split into two groups
Yeah.
and good old fashioned winner safe, losing tribe. Somebody's going home from that group.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes the most sense. And like winner, like the reward is you get a feast, so it's a reward challenge, but it's also immunity, and
Hmm.
you get to wear those buffs. I feel like that was kind of exciting. We'll get into how they broke down teams, but that was a good moment right there when they got to throw them on, and it was like Tevin, I think, did it was just like showering in the like buff. I'm
Yeah.
sure, dude, if you make like, I mean, if you make the merge, like I'm sure that's like just like step one of getting Jeff to put the necklace on, like on top of best
Well, I think
feelings.
monetarily too. Like you're going to get a little bit more money if you make the merge too. So
Oh, dude, I
that's
don't
got to
think
be.
I've ever thought of that, but I guess yeah, you're
Yeah,
out
I
there
want
on
to
that one.
say some podcast, Fair Play said that if you make the merge, it's like almost guaranteed like 45,000.
I wonder if it's the jury because the jury has to keep showing up
The
on
jury,
TV. Maybe
yeah.
it's the jury,
Hmm.
which yeah,
That's
the whoever got voted out tonight will not be on the jury. Right?
yeah.
They would have said that
I
otherwise.
think that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, so it comes down to picking rocks when they're picking teams here for the challenge. And it is very clear that even the show recognizes, and everyone on it recognizes that there
Hmm.
was a disparity there. That, I mean, especially because it was 5 guys, 1 girl, and then 4 or 5 girls, 1 guy. And the guy being
Man.
Charlie, maybe not the bulkiest or most athletic too of all the men. Um,
Yeah.
and then you get that one, you get to be Tiffany, where, I mean, we talked about sports betting on this last week, but I kind of felt like the guy tribe was probably still only about a -400. I think I would have given them -400 because the puzzle,
I feel like
dude,
that's fair.
so many,
That's the
so
thing.
yeah, it comes down
Hmm.
to the puzzle, and that's kind of what it came down to. It was really only a 5-piece race by the end of it.
Yeah.
Do you like how that they went to rocks and it was just, you know what, this is going to end up being a luck challenge? Or do you
I
think
do like that.
they
I think
should have done
that's
a schoolyard pick like they would have used to do? What they used to
I
do?
do like the rocks. I think it's fun just because I mean it's so random. You just don't know,
Yeah,
especially in like a merge situation like this too. Like they don't know the other groups as much really.
yeah,
So even like in a schoolyard pick, they're not picking necessarily based on a whole lot of knowledge of the other group.
yeah,
Um, in this situation, I think like the person who does draw the odd rock though is like at an advantage.
yeah,
I mean, you don't have to play, so you're not like gonna cost your tribe, and then you just kind of get to pick and look at the tribes, examine them, see who you think is going to be the winner anyway. So I think Tiffany kind of got the best position there.
yeah, dude,
Maybe her and Kenzie.
and Tiffany did not have to dive into the mud and crawl under the
Yeah.
net, which the weaker tribe or the smaller tribe, they
Hmm.
were the ones that got through the net first, but then all the other climbing and kind of strength things came into play there. I think
Yeah,
Survivor's good about that. Like that net is easier for smaller people. But then when it's time to
for sure. It
climb
made
onto each
sense
other,
why they did so good.
yeah. And so a great epic challenge. I think like the challenges are fantastic this year. Um,
Yeah,
and they're doing good there. What happens? So when they start climbing the ball, like I mean, there becomes a point where purple really just extends the lead. But I thought it was great. I
yeah.
mean, I did not think orange was get up that ball because that ball looked like a really hard thing to
Neither
where
did I.
someone had to sacrifice their body at some point or another, and they kind of had a good system
hmm
going. Um, pretty good challenge.
Yeah,
Pretty good challenge. Yeah,
good puzzle, classic puzzle.
classic
I like how
puzzle.
they made every person on the tribe be involved in the puzzle too.
Yeah,
It wasn't just a two people get to do the whole thing. I thought that was cool.
yeah.
I don't think I've seen that before.
Yeah, that was sick. Yeah, and then it did again. It came down to the puzzle there because dude, orange was coming back, and I was like, it did feel like that minus
hmm
400 that you added to the parlay, and it's the last leg, and now you're seeing it like dwindle away, and you're going, how did I not bet
Yeah.
on the plus 320, whatever, dog? Um, yeah, I was feeling that. But then ultimately purple wins. And the most interesting thing to me was that all three people from
The
the
purple
purple
tribe.
tribe were immune. They got immunity and they made it to the
Yeah.
merge, which really threw everything into a frenzy because it's like, all right,
hmm
got to choose someone from these other big tribes that's going to go. Because, yeah, people stay tribal when we get to the merge. And I don't know, a lot of stuff happened. I thought something interesting from the podcast. Dee said she told a very gross story about that she ate at the merge feast, and she ate so much so fast after being starved for how many days
hmm
that she like suddenly felt a crazy urge in her stomach, and she ran, like tried to run to the bathroom but only made it to some bushes and was going to the bathroom
Ooh.
and was throwing up at the same time from the
Oh,
merge feast. So not
I
only,
always thought about that, man, because
yeah,
they go crazy on some of these things. Like your stomach's so empty, it's not used to eating like that after that many days. Like you got to like ease your way in a little bit,
dude,
but it's probably so hard, like mentally, to ease your way in.
yeah. And dude, remember they used to like let them drink a lot and they would get like hammered. And then like, I don't know, but yeah, I would imagine that your body would reject that. And I can't believe she told that story. And she even said
Yeah.
like, I can't believe I told that story. But yeah, dude, it was good feast. It kind of does suck that like you could make the merge and not get a feast, but like that's the new era of
hmm
Survivor, earn the merge, earn everything.
Yeah.
Um but then what did you make of all the scrambling? Who did you think was going to go home, or was it pretty clear?
I kind of thought it was pretty clear at first. I did think that it was going to be Venus going home, just because when she went and kind of told them that they don't need to go after uh, Mo, they need to go after Charlie instead. It's just that classic, like somebody tells you something in Survivor, they tell you not to tell anyone else, and then you go and tell someone else. That always gets you in trouble. So once she did that, I kind of thought she was going to be a little bit more on the chopping block.
Yeah. And she
But I
yeah.
do think they were smart to get rid of Mariah. She was like playing really hard. I don't know when these people are going to stop talking about how much of a fan they are, man. It just always gets these people into trouble.
Yeah, it is. I don't know though, or that's like I feel like maybe that's painting a target on someone because I will say shout out to Survivor. 3 days ago they posted a video of Aubrey just like randomly, right? Throwback. Like
hmm
not knowing that like I think they did this last year where they showed Rob and Amber clips and then Dee and Austin said, "We're like Rob and Amber." But Aubrey's referenced as like Mariah's favorite Survivor player, right? Well, dude, if she would
Yeah.
have named anyone, if you told me Tyson's your favorite Survivor player, I would then go, "Oh, then we got to get this guy out." I think it's just like a
Yeah.
weird way to put a target on someone. Or because like
hmm
ultimately the name of the game is, dude, they're more threatening than I am. Like, and you want to convince people of that. So if
hmm
Mariah,
Yeah.
spills a little that she likes a devious former player, you can easily be like, dude, she likes a devious former player. Let's get her out. That's insane.
hmm
And ultimately, that's what happened. Which I mean, dude, I don't know why you get a Mariah out. Like now you get out the challenge beasts, and maybe the guys that all just stick together and rally and got everyone to vote a certain way. But like, this is we're
To
in.
be fair, though, there wasn't a whole lot of challenge beasts in that group that they could have voted from. Like
Right.
maybe
I guess
Charlie
that's
was
true.
probably the biggest challenge threat out of any of those people left.
Yeah, true.
But you got to start to think too that some of these next challenges are going to be more of those endurance challenges, holding on, where a lot of times the smaller females tend to do a
Yeah.
lot better too.
Yeah.
So
And like you said last week, or maybe you predicted it, or you said it might happen, but like Soda probably would have been the one to get out, I think, more than Mariah,
mhm.
because like, and they didn't talk about it. I mean, it really was like
I
Mariah got a
agree.
lot of
Yeah.
screen time the entire episode, but Soda to me seemed of the five that lost, um,
Mhm.
seemed to be the one that it's like, dude, that's the one you take out, or a Charlie. Yeah, I mean, uh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's why I'm like Mariah of all those people.
And
I feel like you could get her to be loyal and all that stuff. But maybe it's because she wasn't in on the vote last time and yeah, lied.
Venus did even say to her, to Soda, she was like, if we get Mo because we're going after these people who are like game players, you're probably next.
Yeah.
So she did try to tell her that, but I mean, didn't move the needle at all for her. So
Yeah. The purple three, man. I tell you what,
smart
they are
and in a good spot,
tough. They're
man.
in a good spot and they are like
Hmm.
ruthless. Like Q like was going over and saying like, he's putting the hammer down and he's an intense guy.
Oh yeah.
But that's like a classic story of man. They started on the terrible tribe that couldn't win anything, and now they're like in the final four. Like
Hmm.
that's how it's gonna go. And that's how
It
kind of
happens a lot like that.
it does. And this was a
They
great
just have to be
start.
smart about whichever side they end up siding with. If they side with a whole side,
Yeah.
they can't let that side outnumber them.
Yeah, yeah, this was such an important vote too, and this was so huge for
Hmm.
Orange because Orange was a now has the most tribe members, and like Hunter got to get away without a vote, and he had told people he didn't have a vote either. So I
Oh, I
mean,
know. Yeah,
you if you knew
I
that
thought that
he
was
if you knew that
interesting.
he didn't have a vote, guess what? You can swing the numbers now. And that just maybe wasn't a
Hmm.
thing. Maybe they just couldn't trust Mariah. So yeah, it was sad to see her go, and yeah, it was tough watching that tribal too because it was just like Q being aggressive, and Mariah's just clearly not can't meet that energy, uh,
Hmm.
and so yeah, she was
Smart play by her for playing her shot in the dark for sure.
true. True, yeah. I forgot about that. She handed the scroll, and I was like, "Wait, what is that again?" And then, yeah, it was shot in the dark. But it
Yeah.
was the right move. It was all she could do. So ultimately,
Hmm.
to go out that way is probably a little bit better because you went out swinging. So, good on her.
Hmm.
Well, let's go to questions for Jeff after that show. After it wraps up, Richie, what do you got for Jeff?
I think my question would be when there's so many people in like a merged tribe, we'll say, how like at tribal council do you split up who you're talking to
Dude,
without making it too obvious?
yeah. Or too long too, because like if you have six
Yeah.
people at tribal, you can go back and forth with them a bunch. For 13 people,
Hmm.
like to check in on every single person, which we probably didn't see it, but yeah, you're right. That's a good
Yeah.
question. Like, do you even talk to the people who want immunity because like they're not the ones who are
Yeah.
scared right now? Yeah, that's a good
I
question.
feel like they really only talked to like Hunter Q, Mariah, and Venus. I feel like those were the only four people that really got involved.
Yeah, yeah. So
But I mean, with that amount of people, and I mean, you kind of knew it was between two. It does make sense. I'm
yeah,
sure that a lot of it's just editing too. I'm sure they ask questions to other people,
yeah,
and then once they go back and see what's going on.
yeah.
But
Yeah, dude, it's like working in a space where you have time constraints on how much time you can spend on an episode. Like
hmm.
like dude, they spend all day with these people and we see the course of 3 days sometimes. And think about like yeah, they were filming for 24 hours and they did so many more interviews than what we're seeing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm surprised that and maybe would piggyback off. This would be my follow up. Is like, what's stopping Survivor from being like the challenge? Is it or Big Brother, where it's like, dude, we have hours and hours of other footage, and it is just observing them, and nothing is
Yeah,
really happening, and it's not gameplay. But like, could we see that?
yeah. Big Brother does. I mean, they do 3 episodes a week, and then they have like a stream that you can watch them like almost 24/7.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe
Which
he's
a lot of times, I mean, they're just doing nothing, but
yeah,
still.
but yeah, and then yeah, at certain times, like, oh, check in. I don't know. Maybe they just wanted the show to be a little more produced than just live stream. Whatever happens, happens. They're in control
Hmm.
of what happens in the story. That
Yeah.
all makes sense to me. My question for Jeff is, Jeff, why did you take away, and he kind of answered it, but why we didn't get to hear him say, drop your buffs? Like, because they read it.
Hmm.
They read it on the paper.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, but like Jeff's sayings of the tribe is spoken and come on in,
Hmm.
RIP, come on in, guys. But Jeff, like his sayings are as much of a character as he is, and like want to know what you're playing
Hmm.
for, and got nothing for you. That's my favorite gif, right? Got nothing for you.
Yeah.
Head back to camp. But drop your buffs is one that's like, dude, that's a phrase that when you hear it on Survivor, it's like, oh, chills. Like these people have
Game
made it.
started.
Yeah,
Hmm.
now this is when the show is about to really step on the gas. Why take that moment away? And I get it. They want to make the earn the merge and whatnot, but I still think we need to hear it. I think there's a value in hearing it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, drop your buffs.
And I think they're probably just trying different things out too to see what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah,
I'm sure next season it'll probably be back.
yeah. And I'm all for that too. I'm like, I love like try new things
Hmm.
because Survivor has tried a lot of new
Yeah.
things that have been bad ideas and some
Yeah. I
things
mean,
that
the
are
first
like
like
cool.
3 or 4 seasons were not good.
Yeah. Well, but even
And so I
things
think they
like
took a lot of like the criticism and
remember a few seasons ago there was like change history, and it was like, dude, what is this advantage? Like it totally like ruined
yeah.
someone's game, got someone out, and it was like maybe in a
Hmm.
meeting that sounded like a good idea, but in gameplay that was like I remember it was like messed up.
Yeah.
It like I don't know, it felt unfair. It was like whoever won a challenge actually doesn't win or something like that. And it's like, gosh.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, I'm all for trying new things. It's good. All right, stock up, stock down. Who do you got? Whose stock went up after episode 6?
Stock up for me is probably Q.
Hmm.
I think he cemented himself in a very good position,
Yeah.
has a pretty good alliance.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, the whole Purple Tribe seems to be pretty safe right now,
Yeah.
which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. We'll see how that ends up playing out. But I think Q is kind of like the leader of those three,
Yeah.
so he'll be my stock up.
I think seeing and yeah, I think what you have to look at in this episode is who interacted well with everyone and who's gonna be like
Hmm.
not necessarily a target. And dude, I'm gonna say stock up on Hunter. I've kept thinking that it's a bad, dangerous thing, but now that he has an idol
Hmm.
and now that he has an alliance, like I think a lot of these people might
Yeah.
keep him around for some crazy
Hmm.
reason.
Yeah.
I think Hunter now has a protection of an idol, and now I think has a protection of really good relationships. And his tribe is now the leader of people, and so that is a huge
Hmm.
advantage. It'll just be if purple and green can get smart and vote out an orange together, but that would just shake up everything. Or somehow tribe
Oh yeah.
alliances break. All right, so who do you have for your stock down?
My stock down is gonna be Tim
Okay.
because he failed to tell Maria about the alliance that
Yeah.
they had tried to do.
Yeah.
And also they weren't really even that close. Like if you're picking a one person, you want to pick probably your closest ally or
Right.
someone you trust the most. And it didn't seem like he did that.
Yeah.
The conversations that he had with Q doesn't seem to trust him now. So I
Yeah.
think that's going to put a big target on Tim's back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder what happened that day that made him say because his thing was, oh, we're
Hmm.
both parents, like it's a parent alliance, it's great.
Yeah.
Even to not go back, yeah, and just be like, hey, just a heads up, especially if you know a merge is coming. But D talked about that
Hmm.
too, is that you're never alone on that island, and so like it is hard to maybe sneak away or to like whisper things to someone that like needs to happen, but. Yeah, that definitely felt like a weird bit of betrayal. I think for me, I'm going Charlie. Charlie was the one person who
Okay.
did vote Venus, um, and yeah, I think like they're probably gonna pick off people on the Green Tribe, and I get the whole
Hmm.
they wanted to get rid of Mariah because of a potential girls alliance or whatnot, but I think you have the ability of getting Charlie out next, and yeah, usually when you have to come back to camp, and it's like who put my name down. Maybe it'll come out. Maybe it's a big enough group where it's like, oh, everyone can hide and just say it wasn't me.
Yeah. Hmm.
But that must have been an ally in Mariah to where he thought he needed to vote with her. So not a
Yeah.
good thing. Stock down there. And yeah, we might get another. I mean, it sounds like we'll get 2 immunity challenges next week from the teaser. Also, Q sounds like
Yeah.
he's gonna. His tribe mates are a little frustrated with him, so that's one thing for your stock up. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I try
Um.
not to read too much into the scenes from next week.
Okay. Okay. But it is
I feel
critical.
like a lot of times what they show you, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. The critical things are whenever they're like, oh, a merge is coming, or 2 tribals next week,
hmm
which I love 2 tribals.
yeah.
They might, and they have done this before where they do a girls challenge and a guys challenge, and yeah, the winner of that
I
will,
don't think
yeah.
they've done it though where they split it like just girls and
Yeah. Oh,
guys, have
they
they?
totally have. They've done. One girl will win an immunity necklace today, and one
No,
guy
yeah,
will
yeah,
win.
they've done that, but they haven't done where just the girls go to tribal and then just the guys go.
Oh.
I don't
Oh.
think
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
done
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Which I
No.
mean, that could be something like cool to do too.
Yeah.
I'd be for that.
Yeah. That would be fascinating. That means we have to pick 2 people who are going to get voted out next week because we're seeing 2 tribals.
Okay.
So, gosh, who? I mean, I'm gonna say Charlie. I think I like Charlie, and maybe I'll say Venus, just because Venus's name got brought up this
Okay.
week.
Okay.
I'll say Venus and Charlie. Final answer.
I'm gonna go Tim, just because I think Maria and Charlie are so close that she'll try to do whatever she can, and I think she's playing a really good game, probably the best game from the green
Mm,
to try to keep him safe.
okay.
And then I'm gonna say Soda instead of Venus. I
S-
think that maybe the Purple Tribe will get Venus on their side. They know that she's kind of at the bottom.
Okay. Tim and Soda.
So
All right.
yeah,
Cool. If either one of us are right, the other one has to take a shot on camera.
that's fair.
I
We
think
haven't been right yet. So.
I know that's true. I mean, maybe we
It's
said
hard at this
Banu.
point
Maybe
though.
we
There's
said
so many
Banu.
people.
Did we say
I
Banu?
feel like that
Maybe.
one didn't count. That was kind
Yeah.
of obvious.
Yeah. All right. All right. We'll see.
Okay.
Sounds good. I want to do one more thing too before we go. You sent me a pretty interesting meme here, posted by
Mm.
SurvivorQuotesx that says Survivor needs, and it lists 7 things. And let's go through them real quick. I want to hear if you agree or disagree, because there are some I disagree
Okay.
with. Okay, first one, 39 days. I think we agree.
Yeah,
We
I
like
think so.
I don't know anyone who's like, yeah, 26 is better. I mean, for the show and the production budget and all that stuff,
hmm
26 is probably great. But I feel like
But I mean, 2 extra weeks is so much more struggle that
yeah.
you earn it at that to get to that end.
Yeah. New locations. How do you feel about this?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
liked when they went to different places
Yeah.
and how they had like, oh, Survivor Cambodia,
Yeah.
Survivor China, whatever,
Dude,
wherever they were going.
it was your
Even
way.
if it's like some different island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, even watching the old ones, it's like, and yeah, I don't know. You got to see the whole world. Like, you got to see Africa, you got to
hmm
see China, you got to see the
Yeah.
Philippines, like Australia, all of it. Um,
hmm
I don't know, Guatemala, like unreal. So yes, I agree, new locations, but I again understand it. Production, it's not a hassle.
Yeah.
He's told stories on the podcast that it was a nightmare in some of these places. Villains,
I agree.
I agree. Yeah, I think Survivor needs
I
villains.
mean, villains like sometimes like you liked the villains because
Yeah.
they were like just doing they did so
And
well at
And dude, I
being a
I
villain.
would agree that like Mean probably not, but also like I think Mean would get rooted out and
hmm
they would just kick you out anyway. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, not disabling something that's hateful, but like allowing the good to drown it out. I don't know.
hmm
No mergatory. I'm assuming that means earn the merge. I don't
I think
mind.
so.
I don't mind earn the merge. What do you think?
Yeah, I disagree with that. I've liked how they've done. You don't necessarily make it until you make it.
Yeah.
I do kind of like how they, especially this season when they split it up, 2 tribes, winning tribe wins it.
Hmm.
I
Th-
like that it was by random luck too.
yeah. Yeah. This next one says everybody votes. I'm assuming that means you can't lose your vote or the shot in the dark. But I don't mind shot in the dark. I don't mind like losing. I think losing your vote is a interesting, and also earning an extra vote. I think is an interesting dynamic to it. If that's what it's saying.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know if I like the shot in the dark necessarily as much.
Yeah.
And I think maybe too, just because I mean, I think in the 6 seasons we've only seen like one be successful. So
Yeah.
maybe if we saw more be successful, it would be a little bit more fun.
Yeah. That was wild. Shout out Caleb. That was crazy. Vote at the final four. I strongly disagree with this. I think fire making is epic. I mean, I do think it sometimes can be a little overpowering because it's like, dude, if you, there's got to be a stat of if you've won that, you're, I don't know. But
Mhm.
I do think it's better than a 2-2 vote. I don't. What do you think about final four?
I think that it should be a vote, but if it's 2-2 after the one, then fire making.
Hmm.
Because I
Yeah.
do think like you should reward, like say there's a trio that's like been powerful throughout, they should be able to go to the final without having to send somebody to fire. I
Yeah.
mean, they've done such a good job to work hard enough to get everybody else out. If they want to go 3-1 and vote this last person out, I think they should be allowed to do that.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, if it's a powerhouse, I like that situation. And then the last one was two
The fire making
tribes.
is,
Oh, what were you saying?
oh yeah, I mean, the fire making is, I mean, just all time though, just
Yeah,
riveting.
some epic
So
moments,
much fun.
and that feels like
Yeah.
Survivor. Like I think, yeah, we've talked about like
Mm-hmm.
they get there's way too many clothes, and life feels way too easy for them. Like I think if you have to build a fire, that is a skill that you should have adapted in the last 24 days or 36 days or whatever they're at.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of fire making, so I strongly disagree with vote at final four. Two tribes is the final one. I agree. I love two tribes. I also don't hate three
Yeah.
tribes. Like I think mixing it up is fine. Like even when it was, brains, bronze, beauty, that was three tribes. Or when it was
Yeah.
hustlers, heroes, and blue collar, white collar,
I like
no
the three if
collar.
they have yeah, if they have a like a brand like that. I don't like it as much when it's like this where it's just kind of random.
Yeah.
I like almost when better when they start as two tribes when it's random and then split into three after like two or three votes.
Yeah, just
I think that makes it a little bit more fun.
yeah. Yeah, it's good. And I think, dude, one thing that's not on this list that I would have added to this list if I was on this Instagram account is I would say themed seasons. What do you think? Themed seasons like
I
Ghost
agree.
Island, Edge of Extinction.
So I agree with some of them, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I guess I just listed off a
Like I
couple.
love like obviously like heroes versus villains, the blood versus water,
Yeah.
um,
But
a lot of those kind of ones.
what was the one? Island of the Idols. Ooh.
Yeah, that one was very good.
When like Rob and Sandra are hiding in a treehouse, like above tribal.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's what I was gonna say too. Dude, I think this tribal council is so epic, and it just reminds me of the Japanese temples. But this tribal council is beautiful, beautiful set piece this
Oh
season.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. All right, that's a good list. That's a good recap. Richie, thanks so much for joining. If you
Thanks for
enjoyed
having me once
this,
again.
yes, if you enjoyed this, like, it helps the channel. Subscribe, it helps the channel. Share it with your friends. Comment. Do it all.
Leave us questions.
Leave us questions. Yeah, no comments to read today. So slam up that comment section. Spam it. Go crazy. Richie, thanks again. We'll see you next week for episode 7.
See you guys soon.